A year ago, I reviewed the OBSBOT Tiny 4K PTZ Webcam, an AI auto-tracking camera for video conferencing and online tutorials. Today I'll be reviewing its successor, the OBSBOT Tiny 2. New updated specs include ultra-large 1/1.5-inch CMOS auto-tracking with auto-zoom, voice control, magical gesture control 2.0 and 4 times faster focusing. Is it worth the upgrade? Let's find out. Inside the box we have the OBSBOT Tiny 2 webcam, adjustable mount, a 1.5 meter USB-C 3.0 cable, USB-C to USB-A 3.0 adapter, user manual, warranty card and a useful storage case. The dimensions have shrunk by half when you compare it against the original Tiny 4K, giving it a very compact dimension. It feels well put together, made of an aluminium alloy body shell with a metal magnetic base for the mount to attach onto. The Tiny 2 weighs in at 96 grams or 143 grams with the mount, much lighter than the first gen Tiny model, coated in a dark grey colour. The round base allows the camera to move 360 degrees with a side arm for the gimbal to move the camera head up and down. At the front of the base is an indicator light strip. This turns blue when it is switched on. Using gestures, it can also turn or flash green. There's dual omnidirectional mics with noise reduction at the front of the base. The bottom of the base has a 1/4 UNC screw for fitting the Tiny 2 to a tripod, useful for live streaming to your audience. New to the Tiny 2, there's also a Pongo connector for future expansion. The metal mounting bracket folds out to fit most laptop and monitor screens. The magnet is strong, making sure that the Tiny 2 doesn't move when you adjust the mount to the optimum position. At the back is a USB-C 3.2 Gen 1 port that offers 10 times faster transmission speeds for connecting to your computer and powering the Tiny 2. The new smaller dimensions house the new ultra-large sensor, a 1/1.5-inch dual native ISO CMOS, nearly 4 times the surface area of the predecessor in the Tiny 4K I reviewed a year ago. If it's easier to understand in megapixels, it's effectively a 50 megapixel sensor with a f1.9 aperture. Video capture is at 4K 30 or 1080p at 60 frames per second to smooth out motion blur. The dual layer sensor takes 2 images at the same time for each frame, then combines this to ensure a wide dynamic range and color performance. In layman terms, the Tiny 2 is better at coping with low and bright lighting conditions. The Tiny 2 has a field of vision of nearly 86 degrees and 73 degrees horizontally. There's also 4 times zoom, giving a balance between close-up individual shots and wide video capture of the group or classroom. High dynamic range or HDR is present in the Tiny 2, offering improved performance in different lighting conditions and rich colors in your video capture. An enhanced version of the deep neural learning network algorithm improves on the already excellent AI auto tracking with auto zoom, but introduces auto framing, desk mode, hand tracking and zone tracking. More on these features later. The new all-pixel autofocus technology partnered with the 50 megapixel sensor provides more accurate focusing and 4 times faster focusing than before. The new voice control function allows hand-free gestures of the Tiny 2, from saying "Hi Tiny" to switch it on, to "Track me" to tell Tiny 2 to follow you. To switch off the camera, you can either say "Sleep Tiny" or physically point the camera down from the gimbal. Magical Gesture Control 2.0 improves on the great gesture controls found on the original Tiny 4K. Dynamic zoom and direction flip, to name a couple of new gestures. Dynamic zoom allows you to zoom in and out using hand gestures. Lift your hand to track the target. Make an L gesture to zoom in and out. Desk mode. If the user wants to show more intrinsic and specific things, they can easily do this by tilting the camera down and opting for desktop view. This shows the audience your drawings or notes on the desktop. Whiteboard mode. This feature allows you to zoom into a whiteboard, TV or a large cardboard. You can control this by pressing the whiteboard mode on the app, or better still using the optional remote control by pressing the whiteboard button twice. If you want Tiny 2 to zoom into a particular area on the whiteboard, press the whiteboard button twice. The laser appears, point to the area you want to zoom into, and Tiny 2 does the rest. Hand tracking. This is a useful feature if you want Tiny 2 to follow your hand. For example, when explaining something on a whiteboard or large TV to your audience. Zone tracking. To begin with, use the app to set zones, up to 3 presets. For example, this could be a TV and or the whiteboard in the room. The Tiny 2 will stop tracking if the target is in the preset zone. Once you move away from the preset zone, the tracking will start up again. Body part tracking. The Tiny 2 supports 4 different AI tracking modes. By default, the auto tracking mode will follow your body. Now you can track the upper body of the target, and Tiny 2 will automatically zoom to fit. Activate close-up mode and the webcam will capture the image above your chest. In headless mode, Tiny 2 will keep the image only under your head. The fourth mode, called lower body, will track your lower body only. Voice gestures. New in the Tiny 2 is voice gesture control. Switch on the webcam by saying "Hi Tiny," then say "Track me" to tell Tiny 2 to follow your movements. Zoom in closer and zoom in further for zoom controls. Lastly, to turn off the webcam, call out to it "Sleep Tiny." Note, voice gesture is only available in English and Chinese Mandarin. Okay guys, I know you have been terribly patient up to now, but all of you are shouting, what's the video and audio quality really like? Sit back and watch different sample video captures with audio direct from the Tiny 2.
Hi, this is a video sample in 4K 30. As you can see, it's following me, auto-tracking along. I can do this. And it's just constantly going to follow me in every direction. You can see how fast it's going as well. So this is the desk mode. So you can put a piece of paper here, for example, and start drawing and let the audience see what you're viewing on the piece of paper as an example there. Whiteboard mode can be controlled either by the app on your computer or better still with the remote accessory. So if you click on the whiteboard, you can see now it zooms straight into the nearest whiteboard or television. This is the field of vision from the Tiny 2. Track me. Zoom in closer. Zoom out further. Sleep Tiny. This is in 1080p, 60 frames per second. This is a video capture using the Tiny 4K on 4K 30 resolution. Whereas with the Tiny 2, there's definitely a lot more contrast and exposure with the same lighting condition.
The OBSBOT Webcam software is available to download for Windows and Mac OS devices. You can see with the app there's lots of granular options available to control the Tiny 2, allowing you to turn on and off features and gesture controls. The Beauty tab gives you tons of options to beautify yourself to your heart's content. The Image tab allows you to turn on and off the webcam autofocus, exposure, and white balance. In the Console tab, you can define the type of tracking, including body tracking, AI modes, and even manually control the gimbal. If you have several OBSBOT cameras, you can switch between up to 4 of them to show different angles. There's also quick buttons to turn on the remote control, use global hotkeys, turn on the virtual camera mode for live streaming, and link up to the OSC protocol. The Tiny 2 is compatible with platforms like Skype, Zoom, Google Meet, YouTube, Twitch, and Microsoft Teams for easy integration into your pre-existing workflow. The Tiny 2 is supported by the Elgato Stream Deck plugin and the OBS app for live broadcasting or video streaming. The remote control runs on AAA dual batteries. The USB Type-A dongle is parked inside the controller, handy so you don't lose it when you move it around from meeting to meeting. The small downside is MacBooks and premium Ultrabooks use USB-C ports, so you'll need an adapter or docking station to plug it into. From the top there's the on-off button, 4 buttons to switch between webcams for different angles, 3 preset position buttons, gimbal control, and a middle button to reset Tiny 2 to its initial position. There's zoom out and zoom in buttons. There's buttons to turn on and off human tracking, close-up tracking, and hand tracking. The laser pointer can be activated by holding down the button or double tap to execute the whiteboard close-up mode. Desk mode button to turn this feature on and off. Finally, there's a page up and down buttons to control full screen or black screen options. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 AI-powered 4K webcam is a cut above the rest. It's taken its excellent predecessor, the Tiny 4K, and packed even more AI features and a larger 4K sensor into a smaller package. Video capture is superb thanks to the larger 50 megapixel sensor with super sharp video quality and improvements in low and bright lighting environments. OBSBOT have crammed tons of useful AI tracking and autofocus features, body tracking and whiteboard to name two of my favourite modes. Voice control's handy and works well when your hands are full. The new hand gestures work reliably when called upon. The main flaws of the Tiny 2 are the average microphones, and you can't position the camera in vertical mode for the TikTok and YouTube Shorts influencers. The manual control of the gimbal could be smoother too. Where can I see Tiny 2 being used? Large or enterprise level organizations, churches, wedding venues, stand-up presentations for online tutorials, or college lectures. It's also perfect for the live streaming crowd. Its nearest competitor is the Insta360 Link with similar features, but OBSBOT Tiny 2 is priced nearly £50 cheaper than the Link. The OBSBOT Tiny 2 is expensive compared to a typical webcam, but that is comparing apples with pears. For the features it crams into its tiny dimensions, it is actually great value compared to the competition in the market. If you need the very best video quality, accurate gestures and controls, AI auto tracking and zoom, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 is the pinnacle of a 4K AI tracking webcam. What do you guys think? Leave your comments and discuss below. Hope you guys enjoyed the review of the OBSBOT Tiny 2 4K AI webcam. Please click on the like button if you enjoyed this review video and subscribe if you would like to watch more of our tech videos. Thanks for watching. Cheers.